Have you ever asked yourself, why do I keep giving my all only to end up feeling disappointed? What am I doing wrong? Here's what I've realized through honest self-reflection. You are where you are because of choices you made. And until you recognize the behavior patterns keeping you stuck in this loop, you're going to end up in similar painful outcomes every time. It's something so obvious from an outside perspective to see someone else's recurring behavior patterns, but somehow we are so blind to our own. Sometimes we even recognize them, yet make the same choices out of convenience and familiarity. Change is uncomfortable. In today's episode, we're diving into the source of hidden cycles and how to break free from this roller coaster once and for all. This is where self-awareness turns into personal power. So take a deep breath, get comfortable, and let's begin.
You're listening to the Opulence Mindset Podcast. This is for those on the road less traveled, doing the inner work, embracing the process, and striving to live life to the fullest. I'm Chanel, your gratitude coach and loyal teammate, as we grow, heal, and evolve together. Thank you for sharing valuable time with me. And remember to wear opulence, think love.
Let's take a moment to be here, a moment to arrive and center. Place your hand gently on your heart. Now breathe in through your nose, softening as your lungs expand, holding, and exhale fully, letting go. Let your shoulders drop, your thoughts slow. And again, inhale deeply. Hold, 2, 3. Exhale. Returning to yourself. You're loved. You're light. You are aligned. Welcome back to the Opulence Mindset Podcast, a space where we unlock our unlimited potential, align with our most authentic selves, and vibrate daily in abundant gratitude. I'm Chanel, your gratitude coach, here to share my healing journey and tools that have helped me awaken to the power of appreciation. If you've been following along, we've already explored how mindset can transform our reality and how radical self-acceptance is the key to the growth in the opulence mindset method. Today, we take another powerful step forward in our awakening, overcoming fear and scarcity thinking. And even though this is a constant practice for the rest of existence, I've broken it into stages of 3 parts: recognizing behavior patterns, releasing blame to reclaim our power, and understanding anxiety. Today, we're focused on shift in recognition of patterns in our lives as a pathway to awaken to repeated behavior and choices that seem to connect the types of experiences we've gone through in our lives. This is where we start asking the hard questions. Because the universe isn't picking on you, babe. It's reflecting something about you that needs to be acknowledged. This is about recognizing your repeated pattern behaviors and furthermore getting to the root of why you're feeling stuck. Because think about it. Do you ever feel like the same story keeps playing out? Maybe we don't even trust ourselves to follow through on a diet plan anymore. Maybe we keep attracting emotionally unavailable partners. And maybe you always feel undervalued, overlooked, or taken advantage of in the workplace. What if I told you this is not a coincidence? These patterns are not happening to you. They're happening through you. So before ego starts to jump in, this is not blaming or shaming you for your situation. Remember, it's just about awareness and clarity, detach from emotion. Anna Runkle, known as the crappy childhood fairy, taught me all about how many of us are wired for people-pleasing because of childhood misunderstanding and trauma. For example, if you grew up in an environment where your needs were ignored or where love felt conditional, you likely learned that you had to earn affection by being the obedient fixer and the self-deserting peacemaker. And that conditioning doesn't just disappear when you become an adult. Our brains are pattern-seeking machines. It's how we learn. Think about flashcards in elementary school. Through repetition and exposure, we begin to notice connection between actions and outcomes. This is called associative learning. For example, if every time you express vulnerability, you're met with rejection, your brain starts to form a rule: vulnerability equals pain. Over time, you start acting based on that rule, sometimes without recognizing it. Pattern awareness deepens with intentional self-reflection, but sometimes it's brought to our attention through external feedback, maybe from a coach, therapist, or friendship. And sometimes you won't recognize the pattern until someone reflects your ego back to you, or until you step away from the environment and finally see it clearly when emotional blinders have dissolved. One of the most powerful lessons of my life, a major wake-up call, and a pivotal awakening, was in honest self-reflection of a past long-term relationship. And it was during a heated conversation when my boyfriend looked at me and said, "I'm starting to get used to you being mean." And holy shit, did that piss me off. Me? Mean. Ooh. Huh. At that point in the relationship, I was burnt out, drained from pouring everything into a person I felt loved by, but I also felt so taken for granted by as well. So when he called me mean, it wasn't just a word. It was a direct blow to my integrity and every intention and every self-sacrifice I'd made for the good of the relationship. I had bent over backwards to be understanding, communicate maturely, and hold things together financially, to be what I thought he wanted, more so the example of a partner I truly wanted. Long story short, I didn't live there very long after that. But it wasn't until months later, when I was alone in my own place, heartbroken, diving into relationship books and podcast therapy, that I figured out where I'd gone wrong. When I finally put the mirror in front of myself and started to see myself through his perspective. And you know what? I was mean. In that relationship, by the end, my insecurities and resentment ran so deep that I had begun to call him out on his emotional betrayal and avoidant escapism regularly. He too felt like he was never enough for me because I kept pressuring him to become someone he simply wasn't meant to be. And I was so out of alignment with myself that I was lashing out in ways I didn't even recognize. My words and actions often returned fire by intentionally expressing something that would hurt him with the amount of shame and fear I was feeling. A real Scorpio venom. Even my body was crying out in ways of rashes, inflammation, and hair loss, begging me to pay attention to the signs that this wasn't right for me, no matter how badly I wanted it to work out. I understood in the shadows of honest self-reflection that his comment shocked me so badly in the moment because it reflected back something I hadn't been willing to see in all of my relations up to that point. And in my attempt to give and earn love through self-abandonment, I was actually manipulating their perception of me and projecting my pain and fear in harmful ways. I had accused my partners of being dishonest and selfish, when in reality, I was the one shape-shifting, altering parts of myself just to feel secure in the relationship and ensure my emotional safety. My pattern in romantic relationships was to assume the role of a rescuer. My subconscious role was that if I could ease his stress or solve this problem somehow, it would give me higher value. And he'd become dependent on me that way. He'd never want to leave. I'd be the ride or die chick or the better half hero, so he wouldn't want to live without me. But in doing that, no matter if I was coming from a genuine place, I was unconsciously communicating my lack of trust and belief in his ability to meet my expectations and make me happy. So when my partner's behavior was repeatedly disappointing, it triggered fear of rejection and my flight instinct for unsafe conditions, another one of my beautiful patterns. I also realized if I hadn't been so desperate for outside validation to prove I was lovable in the first place, plus distracted by his big chocolate brown eyes, I would have recognized long ago that the relationship was founded on lust and limerence, not love. I had been putting the responsibility of my emotional safety and happiness on my partner, my parents, my friends, and the universe. As conditioned people pleasers and codependents, we try to manage how others see us. We try to fix ourselves so we won't leave or so they won't reject us. And in the process, we completely abandon ourselves. So when it doesn't work, even after everything we've poured into it, we spiral further into a scarcity mindset and keep riding the roller coaster. So let me ask you, where in your life are you feeling taken for granted? And in that dynamic, are you perhaps overgiving in an attempt to earn love or influence someone else's opinion of you? Where are you perhaps blaming others for your unhappiness and trying to control the narrative in order to feel safe? Pause and reflect on that for a moment. And remember to breathe. Continuing on in my podcast therapy epiphanies, next we're going to dive into the role of attachment styles in these repeated patterns. Because how we show up in all types of relationships, be it friends, family, or romantic, is deeply tied to our attachment style. Amir Levine and Rachel Heller break this down in their book Attached, where they explain the three main types: anxious attachments, fear, abandonment. They overthink, overgive, and seek consistent reassurance and validation. Avoidant attachments push people away to protect their independence. They shut down instead of opening up in order to avoid pain. Secure attachments feel safe with closeness and can communicate without fear or emotional chaos because they are grounded in themselves and they don't take everything personally like the others. Most people with unresolved trauma fall into the anxious avoidant trap, where one person chases, the other pulls away, and then it reverses. So both people are locked in a painful, emotional tug-of-war series. For example, have you ever wanted someone's attention and then when they finally give it to you, somehow it's too late and you're mad now because they took too long to prioritize you? For years, I've been an anxious avoidant type, attracting emotionally unavailable partners because I was emotionally unavailable for myself. Angeline again rocked my soul when she describes it as, I shoulded them because I shoulded myself. And honestly, I was following the examples I saw all around me. And honestly, I was following the examples I saw all around me. It was always my responsibility to make a change if something felt wrong. I thought if I could just prove my worth, they won't reject me. And somehow that translated to, I will be loved and safe if I fulfill their expectations. Saying that out loud makes me feel like the crazy girl on Snapped, because that's not love. That's a trauma bond. That's toxic manipulation. That's the result of conditioned programming in the name of God. That's me not understanding what wholehearted love really means. And I have great news. It is by recognizing our patterns and changing the behavior choices that you can take back control. It is your choice at any moment to say, this is not true to me. This is not working. I take responsibility for my situation and choose me. And choosing me is not selfish. It's self-love. I highly recommend, if you haven't already, check out that book and determine your own attachment style and how it affected your relationship choices. Once you see the cycle, you can start to establish healthier patterns to make better choices for you and for them. And I'm not saying you're going to figure it all out by doing something different the next time. Life is kind of like Thomas Edison's 10,000 experiments to find the one that worked. But in my opinion, trying a new approach seems a whole lot smarter than hoping for a different cake from the same ingredients. You're making some incredible shifts today, y'all. This is some of the most freeing shadow work we will ever do. Let's take a moment to breathe through this. As you continue breathing, I want you to repeat this affirmation aloud or in your mind. Everything starts within me. Let that truth be confirmed in your spirit. Your presence and input are sacred to me. Thank you for holding space for us to share this level of vulnerability. The fact that you're here means you're already stepping into your own knowing and that we are aligned in a collective evolution. Through this platform, no matter where you are right now, no matter what timeline you're in, it's like I'm sitting right next to you, saying, hey, you are not alone. You are loved, and I'm here to help. Trust that the opulence mindset perspective shift is supporting your personal growth and well-being. To all the listeners who follow along on this journey, thank you. I cannot do this without you. The divine love in me recognizes the divine love in you. May the eternal light of this shared experience journey to the great beyond in perpetuity. Until next time, we're opulence, think love, and so it is. Amen.